The Buddha field is a spiritually supported environment for a rapid spiritual growth. When you are in a holy place, when you are in a special ashram, when you are in a spiritually charged environment, when you are in satsang, you enter a spiritually supportive environment for your rapid growth or awakening. Then we need to understand that there are many spiritually supportive environments at different degrees of the field, like a lotus blooming. Spiritually supportive environments or fields are very helpful because they transport you out of the ordinary life into the spiritually charged reality, field of consciousness. Let's say when we have a retreat, when you enter the satsang hall, you feel something very special. Many times it happens when we host retreats that the event hall staff, they come in and they get shocked that space has been transformed, and they say there's such a deep peace and so much joy. Yes, we have brought it down into that space. So the Buddhic field, of course, in a traditional Buddhism sense, is the place of gathering of the monks. It's the place of all these ceremonies. It's a place fully dedicated for devoting yourself and discovering the Buddha nature within yourself, within you. Now, in terms of non-dual inquiry, we will come to realize that the equivalent of the Buddhic field is not only non-dual space, but the space of a living transmission. Because non-dual space beyond duality is emptiness, voidness. But when it is permeated with the living transmission of a spiritual teacher, then it becomes a equivalent to the Buddhic field, because it is not only beyond duality, but the higher light or transmission is alive in that emptiness beyond duality. And interestingly, if you look at your average day, you shift between various fields of consciousness every single day, many times. This is very special. On one hand, it is very special to be able to shift through various fields of consciousness every single day. But on another hand, it is also challenging and difficult, because living in the world or stepping out of the Buddhic field or the sacred space into the world of duality is a great challenge. And that is why spending time at the retreats, sacred places, being in contact with the spiritual teachers is the environment that always uplifts you and gives you opportunity to familiarize with that higher consciousness, higher light. In an ideal world, we would spend all the time together in the retreats. We would spend all the time in that sacred space in an ideal world. But in the real world, in other words, in the world which is challenging on many levels, understandably it's difficult to dedicate all of your time for the higher sacred way of being. It's a challenge. Typically what happens is that by being in contact, retreats, various programs and satsang and so forth, you're always uplifted. You get to know and spend more time in that higher state. And that is how your sense of normal and a sense of reality slowly transforms. Because what is normal or reality is what is mostly familiar to you. It is actually what you consider as normal or reality. That is the normal or reality to you. So if a person comes to meet me, I like to keep a low profile to share something personal. With Leon, we come for some matcha tea in a coffee shop. For the waitress, we appear to be happy. Now she's getting to know us a bit because we are regulars. We live on a very small island, but we keep very low profile. We don't tell anyone what we do. But then people notice that this couple, they're very joyful and very bright and peaceful. So they usually make compliments like this, you know, you look very bright today, very happy today, and this and that. That's what they can understand from their perspective, which is beautiful. They can feel something, they can sense something. At the same time, they're very rooted in their own life, in their own problems and so forth. So they just notice an unusual person who is usually joyful and peaceful and so forth, whatever they can associate as beautiful. So this is how the consciousness of a regular person operates. And the world, what one defines or feels as normal or reality or the world. Now I invite you to reflect for a second your sense of the world. Just what is the world to you? This sense of what is the world to you is painted on your consciousness, on the screen or the canvas of your consciousness. And it is your private world. It is your sense of the usual world. It is a field of consciousness as the world, and it's entirely private to you, with various unique features that you have experienced, experiences, events, feelings about the world. You have created your version of what is the world, and what is reality, and what is normal. Now, when you come in contact with me, in my, I don't know even what word to use, it's not a perception. In my light of consciousness, that world that average person experiences is like a tiny, tiny grain of sand on the infinite ocean of seashore. Similarly, when now coming to the spiritual domain, when you meditate, experiencing the inner light or the Kundalini type of bliss, that is also, in my light of consciousness, is a tiny little speck of a brighter grain of sand. If we now begin to understand that on a daily basis you attune to many fields of consciousness, and even in your meditations when you experience bliss or deep peace, it is another field of consciousness. Now, if I was to describe my experience of reality, I would have to explain the Divine Cosmology. I would have to explain you that there are divine spirits, and each of the divine spirit is sustaining about 100 quadrillion universes or more. So each of the divine spirit is sustaining 100 or more quadrillion ParBrahmanda universes. Not like ours, not this one, which is a dark speck in the corner of creation. No, not that one. ParBrahmanda are beautiful, bright universes, no duality. They're non-dual universes. Each divine spirit is sustaining about 100 quadrillion or more these beautiful universes. Now, in my reality, I have come above these divine spirits that sustain those universes into the upper divine gateway, which gives me a panoramic view of each of the divine spirits or the divine sources of creation. So above there is a panoramic view, the upper divine gateway, and there's one larger spirit, and then the infinite absolute one. So this is my vision of reality. Now these words are failing to describe because it's neither perception nor a vision nor a feeling as such. But let's just keep it simple. It's my view of reality. So now you can reverse engineer from that view of reality down into the divine regions, into quadrillions of ParBrahmanda universes, and down into the duality universes. One is ours and all the way down here on earth, and having my cup of matcha in a coffee shop and saying, hello, good morning. Nice to see you again. How are you today? I'm very good, thank you. The beautiful thing is that, and what is very special, that I can relate with anyone. I can appear completely normal to the waitress or a waiter, to my mechanic, and my normal day goes by interacting with the world, but not being of it. The beautiful thing is that you can shift your perception or experience of different fields of consciousness. That the third eye is like a receiver transmitter. In the old days, we had TVs. Maybe it was you and your father and mother would say, go change the channel, because there were no even remote control. So you would have to listen to your father and go and change the channel, and new another channel before remote control came to be. So this is pretty much what the third eye does, and you change the field of consciousness. I like the movie The 1,000 Planets or 1,000 Worlds Valerian. It's something like that, it's called, the movie. And there was a scene when one of the main actors was chasing the bad guy and diving through different worlds, different realities. And there was aquatic reality of intelligent beings, and there is a reality of these little creatures where they manage everything, and all sorts of life forms living in their own environments. Well, what we can relate is that there is the world of the fish in the ocean. That is normal to them. This is the reality to them. There is a reality of the birds in the sky who look down and say, oh, these are clumsy humans. They need to walk everywhere. They're so slow. There's a reality of tiny insects which colonize the trees and so forth in the jungle. So fields of consciousness and what we call problems, suffering, my life, it is kind of your version, your painting on the canvas of consciousness. You should not exaggerate it. It's not that important. Your life, my pain, my suffering, my bills, my weekend plans, my relationship. You should not exaggerate. Don't worry, next life it's gonna be different. The mind tends to exaggerate. It tends to demand attention. But you should always have a reservoir of attention on the spiritual domain. Because if you give attention only to the demands of the world and the mind, you will not be happy. You can allocate some attention when it's necessary, but even then remember the higher experiences that you had and continue familiarizing with those, because those experiences in a Buddha field or the sacred satsang field, they're slowly shifting your familiarity with the higher reality. And that is how your life is being transformed. So what does it mean to live in the world but not being limited by it? I'm here as an example. I go to do the groceries and visit a coffee shop and go to tax office to give the papers. In the world, but not of it. You do not allow the world to consume you, because the world, social media, is engineered to consume you. Well, if you want a nice visual, I'll tell you there is a hungry monster. There is a hungry monster who wants to swallow you. And you should not allow that to happen. You should make your efforts to turn away from the hungry monster and to stay in the light of your own self. And continue strengthening your light in the sacred space. That is how you defeat the monster. This would be a beautiful story for the kids to start educating about the dangers of social media, news, people telling how you should live and what you should do, and explaining your kids that there is another way. Look at the light, look at the sun, and spend some time getting to know the bright side. So the Buddhic Self, what is a Buddhic Self? The Buddhic Self is untouched by the grasping ego. The Buddhic Self is beyond duality, beyond the grasping ego. The Buddhic Self we could associate it with one of the aspects, to be more precise, is the pure mind. Not only non-dual mind, but the pure mind. Now I use precise words. So the Buddhic Self has a pure mind. The Buddhic Self abides in ParBrahmanda, the place beyond duality. Not only beyond duality, but beyond Brahmanda, beyond Brahma Jyoti, in the ParBrahmanda. That's the home of the Buddhic Self. By the way, each and one of you has a Buddhic Self. It is also called, now I will add clarification, the true I Am Presence, the true and mighty I Am Presence of the Ascension teachings, because there is a lower version of the I Am Presence. So the Buddhic Self is the mighty I Am Presence, the true one in ParBrahmanda. It's also the Christ itself. So it has the pure mind. The mind is not dual. It is in the true Buddhic field, which is ParBrahmanda, a supportive environment for spiritual growth. The Buddhic Self is enlightened to that degree exactly, but there are many further, higher degrees of enlightenment. In the Buddhist tradition, the Buddhic Self abides on the Pure Land, Buddha field, and one of the most famous Buddhist masters was called Amitabha Buddha. So Amitabha Buddha vowed to create a Buddhic field or a pure land to assist souls with a more rapid enlightenment process. So he created this sacred space called Pure Land in ParBrahmanda. It's not a theme park in California. It's the Pure Land in ParBrahmanda. And it's beautiful. If you would visit the Pure Land, you would think it's totally divine. Jewels, gold, bliss, light, and everyone there, it's like a blissful Buddha or yogi. It's an abode of great light and love and compassion in the region of ParBrahmanda. It's not the final abode, as we understand from Divine Cosmology, and even the Buddhists say it's not the final abode. It's one step, kind of one step down what usually the Buddhists say, because it's a sacred, pure land to become enlightened, or internship of enlightenment, you can say so. That is where you spend time to further familiarize with enlightenment, and from the internship you can then progress further on to the higher degree of liberation. That's also where many bodhisattvas are. And shifting on a Hindu tradition, we will say that this is where many gurus are, the real deal gurus are. Those who are enlightened to that degree and they have stabilized that degree, and the Krishna Goloka Vrindavan is also at that same plateau. So it's a very beautiful place. And your Buddhic self is there.